What is good? We're back. We're wrapping up week 12. We're moving on to week 13. Moves to make. Market Watch Monday. Did a little bit of rankings last week. We're going to switch it up. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. My favorite week of the year. Favorite holiday of the year. No expectations with no pressure. You just usually party the night before, hang out. Thursday is great. There's football on. You're just hanging out, having good food, chilling. Nobody's worried about presents or anything. Not enough love to Thanksgiving at all. And then we just skip right over it, and the holiday decorating immediately after Halloween. Give Thanksgiving its due, and that's what I'm here to do today. So sell Christmas, buy Thanksgiving.
Oh man, I completely. Thanksgiving doesn't get enough love. I don't have a problem with the Christmas lights going up early now that I have two kids. It's kind of they enjoy it, but you can still pump up Thanksgiving. I'm here for it. You give Thanksgiving as much love as you want. I'm here for it.
Let's do it. It's always it's usually like a little bit of a reunion. You probably go back to where you're from. You go see your buddies. You get a couple pops the night before. It's a good time, and then you hang out with your fam and maybe some friends, and have a nice little meal. It's fantastic. Christmas is also, it's always like, it's just like strictly fam. There's so much pressure packed. So give me Thanksgiving all day long. So
I like it.
All right. We're going to jump into this. We're going to talk. I do want to talk about some Shedeur here, but we'll save him to the end. And today what I've got is I've taken the last 6 weeks, and we're going to look at the top 12 players from running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends, and then just kind of talk about the market on guys that really stood out to you, right? Because there's a lot of names are the usual suspects here, but there are a couple of guys on, and we can start with the running backs that, jump out and look at their market, what we're thinking about doing with them. So without any further ado, let's jump into it. Over the last 6 weeks, we got Gibbs at number 1. And now, again, some of these, we've had bye weeks and big games, and there's a bunch of different factors of why some of these guys are on here. But again, we're looking at the sum of the last 6 weeks. So Jahmyr Gibbs, number 1, Taylor, number 2, McCaffrey, number 3, Achane, number 4, Bijan, 5. Shout out to James Cook. Just crushing. He's at 6. And then 7, Chase Brown. 8, Treveyon Henderson. 9, Derrick Henry. 10, Breece Hall. 11, Travis Etienne. And 12, Jaylen Warren. So to me on that list, obviously Hendo being the rookie, getting some love here. We could talk about him for a minute, but I really wanted to get in on Chase Brown because if you've been listening to this podcast for any amount of time, we've caped for Chase Brown for a long time, that all offseason, and we're loading up to do the exact same thing again. So, it really is. It's just going to be the same conversation. He's got one more year left on his deal. Of course, they need to draft a running back because they have to replace this guy because he's a Jag. He's far from a Jag, guys. Like, is he as good as Gibbs or Achane or no, but a very solid player. And you give him a lot of volume, and he's good. You give a lot of guys a lot of volume, and they're good. But Chase Brown can handle it. He's been relatively healthy. He's a good receiving back, good running back, and nobody's over here thinking that the Bengals are, offensive line-wise, doing anything crazy. They've typically been at the bottom of things. So I really wanted to just kind of talk about Chase Brown here for a minute through this group, and, should you be selling Chase Brown? Now, obviously, if you're in a run right now, there's no way that you can get rid of Chase Brown because he's just absolutely crushing it. Like right now, he is 6th in yards over the last 6 weeks. Weeks 7 through 12 is what we're talking about here. 3rd in yards per carry, 5.97. 4th in yards after contact per attempt, 3.07. 3rd in fantasy points, 6th in fantasy points per game. And there's only 1 rushing TD in there. So clearly doing his damn thing. 7th in missed tackles forced, 3rd in route percentage, 5th in target percentage, and 3rd in targets, right? So he's out there doing it. Like what we're getting out of Chase Brown right now is elite level production. This is, we're talking high end, top 5, top 6 fantasy scoring production over the last X amount of weeks. So what do you think about, let's say generally in a vacuum, buying, selling, and then, because I think, again, I don't think you're selling Chase Brown in the middle of a title hunt.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's cheaper now than he was at the beginning of the season, right? There was a lot by the time kickoff got here. He was a second round redraft pick, second round best ball pick, right? And so the mainstream guys jumped on the piggyback there at the very end and was like, you know what, this is the volume's going to be there, and he's actually not that bad. And so like Casey was saying, the Browns, I mean, the Bengals had everybody had him locked in to take a big time running back top 3 rounds, and they didn't do it. And that's basically what is about to come back around. So for the buying and selling side, it's like, it's obviously, you could always say there's a market for it, but there is right now, Chase Brown is protected by 2 really, really stud wide receivers. And then the best thing that could have ever happened was when their star quarterback got hurt. Obviously didn't work out with Jake Browning, but they brought in Joe Flacco, and then it brought that level of the offense back up. And so saved your Chase Brown season, because Browning just wasn't getting it done. And interesting, because he had gotten it done 2 years ago prior,
Sure.
So the bottom fell out of the Bengals offense with Browning. Flacco comes in, saves the day, and then apparently Joe Burrow starting on Thursday night, which I completely disagree with. I don't think Burrow should come back. I understand if I was in his shoes, I would want to play too, but just the Bengals are going to bingle, and they're going to put the best player for the franchise back out there in harm's way with no offensive line. That's what Chase Brown's been dealing with, Casey. No offensive line, and like he's out there still scoring top 7 fantasy points, like you said. So, I mean, I can still buy him. I would be interested to see how much he's fallen down and for his price tag, as far as like week 1 price tag versus week 13 price tag. I would probably say there's probably going to be a better buy-in window after the season, before the NFL draft, when the talking heads do exactly what you just said they're going to do and tell us that Chase Brown really isn't that good, and they're going to draft a running back. And we're going to tell you that the Bengals have so many more needs for their franchise.
Once again,
they need 5 starters on the offensive line. I don't know if you've noticed, but they have basically they need about 8 starters on defense, outside of wide receiver and running back and quarterback. They pretty much need everybody. So we're going to just replay it. So yeah, I would probably say it's tough to buy him right this second, unless you just have that perfect spot in the league where the guy that has Chase Brown thought he was going to be able to make the playoffs, and all of a sudden he's like on a 3-game slide, and your trade deadline's coming up, and then all of a sudden, you can be in a pinch and be like, hey man, you want to take a 2 and a 3 for Chase Brown, or you want to be stuck with him, but because he's not going to be worth anything. And maybe you can stretch him out for a 2 and a 3, and you can buy him. And if you can't pull that off, where you don't have to pay, mortgage the farm. I don't think I'm mortgaging the farm to grab Chase Brown right now. But if I have him, like you said, if I'm winning, I can't sell him. But then after the season's over, as soon as the fantasy playoffs are over, give it a couple weeks, and people will be talking about how he's leaving and he's not going to get another contract, and then you can come in there and buy him, 35% more off.
Underdog just dropped prediction markets, spreads, totals, and team outcomes. And the best part, you can combine them with player picks for bigger multipliers. Sign up today with code FFDynasty and make a $5 entry to get up to $100 in fantasy bonus entries. Prediction markets are now live in 25 states, including Texas, California, and Florida. And Underdog is available in over 40 states with player picks and draft games. Prediction markets, player picks, all on Underdog. So Bengals schedules Ravens, Bills, Ravens, Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
Not a terrible schedule.
Obviously the Ravens are better than they were 5 weeks ago, but the Bills can't stop anybody and the Dolphins can't stop anybody. So that helps.
Right. And so, I if you're a contender and there's somebody who's willing to sell Chase Brown, I think you're getting 2 years out of him regardless, in a situation that you like. Now, they certainly could draft, another running back in the 3rd to 5th round. They drafted one in the 5th round this year. Maybe they go back to the well and do it again, or maybe they come in and bring in another older veteran presence behind him. But at this point, he's the Bengals running back. I don't know how long it takes for people to get rid of the 5th round moniker that he had or whatever. It's crazy. Yeah. But in general, we're going to do the same thing. And like you said, there's so many still holes. I'm going to say the same thing. And after we won that battle, nobody had anything to say. And it's like, listen, if you want to sell Chase Brown after that, that's fine. Like, I'm not saying he's awesome. I'm just saying we've made you money on him like 3 times over. So,
right.
Here we go. And you got to pat yourself on the back because I'm pretty sure somebody still owes me a pie to the face out there as a listener who was so sure. Like every time we post something on about Chase Brown, they were like, he's getting replaced. It's like, okay. So anyway, I'd love to see that pie.
This time last year, you and I gave away our 1st round pick next year to get Chase Brown, thinking exactly like we are right now. Hey, we're going to get him to help us down in the playoffs this year on a team that was projected to win the championship. Always top team projected every week. Of course, our entire team was falling apart. We bought Chase Brown. We lost in the championship. We got 2nd place. What can you do? We got Chase Brown this year. Half the team's falling apart. We're still going to make the playoffs. We're probably the 2nd or 3rd best team in the league. If everybody was healthy, we'd be head to head with we're projected to score most points every single week when we have a full lineup. And we have a couple of guys on the bench that give us depth in a really deep bench league. I mean, in a deep starting lineup league. Mm-hmm. And Chase Brown's very nice to have. So if we were in that same position right now, which we are, and we were looking to buy a Chase Brown, I might not necessarily give up my late first, but if I give you a 2 and a 3, I'd be much happier doing that. But that's exactly what we did last year. It's the same conversation that you can have right now. If you have to give up your late first for Chase Brown, I feel like you should be able to get something back with him. Maybe that 1st round pick just makes, maybe just on paper, it just holds so much weight. Maybe you could give your late first for Chase Brown in a 2 and pull the Casey Myers special where you're giving it to a bad team and it's going to be an early 2nd round pick and you give up a late 1st round pick. So you've only moved 3 or 4 spots potentially, obviously that could be, hey, we lost 1st round of the playoffs and we really traded pick 1-8 and the 2nd round pick was 2-4 and because that's a lot more than 3 spots. Of course it is, but if we go and win, if we get 1st or 2nd place, we got Chase Brown and he helped us win money. Right.
Yeah.
But, so that's a Casey Myers special right there.
The market on Chase right now is still pretty good. I would be fine with trading away, next year's first if I'm top 3 in points. Got
no chance you're missing the playoffs.
Everything's going well.
Yeah,
I think
no chance you're missing the playoffs. He's a nice plug-in. He's like I said, he's been in the top half of your RB1s of point scoring, and the PPR floor I don't think should be going anywhere. Right, you get Burrow back, which I don't really want them to do, but hey, that is what it is. But that everything should improve if Burrow comes back. You would like to think. So we've got Cedric Tillman for Chase Brown. That's a for sure. Yeah.
Tesla and a 2 for Chase Brown. That's a for sure.
Easy.
Here's a 26-2. Here's a 28-1. And then there's a lot of is, there's a 27-1. So a year plus later, but there's a couple here where it's 27-1 and then you get back, or you give up the 27-1, you get Chase Brown in a 3rd. You give up the 26-1, you get back Chase Brown in a 3rd, right?
Okay.
You give up a 26 and get back a 28 3rd or something like that and get Chase.
Well, say, all right, well, Big Co, what's the difference between getting back in a 2nd and 3rd? If you're buying Chase Brown from potentially, if like Casey said, if you're not selling Chase Brown, if you're in the title hunt, so like if you're getting Chase Brown from a non-contender, you now assume that you're in the top half of the first of the draft pick of the draft picks. Pick 1-1, 1-2, 1-3, whatever. So like if I got to give my 3 with that to get back your 2, it's because if I'm offering my first and you're trying to give me, Chase Brown in a 3. And I'm like, I really want Chase Brown in a 2. And you say, no, well, I'd rather give you my 3, my 1 and my 3 to get Chase Brown in a 2. Just if I get an early 2, that early 2 is potentially so valuable, everything gets crazy in the first round of a rookie draft anyway. But like, if you're at 2-2, 2-3, you can either get lucky with a sliding asset early in the offseason. Last year, Emeka Egbuka at 2-2, that was happening, right? not every day. Some people were taking Emeka Buka at 1.5, even early in the offseason. And then that was
sure.
People were planting their flags. But like the Matthew Goldens and the Bukas and those guys and the Luther Burdens, they all kind of stayed together for a little bit in the beginning of the offseason last year. And that was that. And those and the Tyler Warrens and those guys, they were moving around, Colson Lovelands. That was a very valuable pick, 2-2, 2-3, 2-1 last year. So if I got to give my third to get back that early 2 from that type of draft situation, that's what I want to try to do.
Yeah. And, classes can be a little different. Sometimes the 2-3 is great. Sometimes the 2-3 is just in a range where you don't love.
Of course.
And when that'll all play itself out, I can usually find somebody I like at 2-3. But here's Tootin and a first for Chase Brown. And then another one, Benson and a 27 second for Chase Brown. That happened today. So I think there's still some good options out there for Chase Brown if you want to try to get some Chase Brown action done. But let's keep it moving here. I want to quickly touch on Treveyon Henderson and wanted to get your opinion on, do you go in here and say, I think everything the way it's going is trending the right direction for Treveyon Henderson, so this is exactly how we thought it would play out, and I feel really good about it? Or do you have any, like, ooh, I might want to see if I can get something pretty solid right now for my Treveyon stock, because I'm worried that this isn't gonna be quite what I want my Treveyon relationship to be long term with the New England Patriots once everybody's back and healthy, or they go into another season. I don't know how where do you stand on that?
Fantastic question. Here's the thing, like the Patriots are what, 8-2, Casey, right? So like, who am I to disagree with Treveyon Henderson's usage? And I could be 100% transparent here. I didn't think the Patriots were going to win the games like this. Again, I was high on the coach, high on the quarterback, but I didn't think that they were going to be 8-2. And I didn't think that they were going to be so slow out of the gate to use Treveyon. They definitely used him in the passing game, but and almost, to say the word, consistently, but not enough. But when you're winning, what kind of bones do we have to pick here, right? So they are way ahead of schedule, and Drake May is top 2 MVP vote, top 3 MVP vote. It is just fantastic. Like the Patriots flags are out again. Did you see all the Patriots flags riding around? Like the ones that go in the window of the car, like that. Mm-hmm. Dude, those things been up for 5 years. They're back out, and and it's like, I think
I needed a longer break.
2 weeks ago when they were, when he was busting 50-yard plays, I thought back to a trade that we had in one of our leagues where a guy gave away Gibbs for Treveyon in a first. And, that was the beginning of the season. Maybe that was even before week 1 in the off season, or in the preseason, when Treveyon busted a couple big plays. And, 3-4 weeks ago, that was Gibbs all day. And then Treveyon's breaking them. And you're like, all right, well, Treveyon in a first. Like, I'm super excited about Treveyon. I think, again, because the Patriots are winning, they haven't had to look in the mirror and say, we don't really have on paper, our weapons are pretty shoddy. Remember a couple of weeks ago, I was talking about that, point, the target at the receiver highest rate, like 3 out of the 4 receivers were Patriots. Mm-hmm. And, Mac Hollins was one of them. What are we talking about here? That's a quarterback stat. And maybe it's a Josh McDaniels stat. Maybe it's a Vrabel as a whole stat, like just everything about the Patriots. They really literally can't do anything wrong except for just not blowing out the Bengals. They were at a 5.5 spread. They won by 6. How did they do that? So I'm excited about Treveyon. I'm excited about his combination of floor and ceiling moving forward. We've seen ceiling, and yes, obviously Ramondre Stevenson was hurt. He comes back this week, and then the other guy that they got in there, they mix them all up, right? I think that Treveyon has done enough to solidify everything that we wanted him to be, and in this organization, with this play caller, with this offensive coordinator, I expect it to grow. I expect it to continue to grow, but there hasn't been the skies falling. There hasn't been a losing streak. There hasn't been, right. Like they haven't lost any games they were supposed to freaking win. Like nothing has made them say, all right, guys, what do we need to do different next week? They need to say, hey, how can we get better? For sure. But like it's been so dang good so fast he's kind of along for the ride, instead of being the ride. He can be the ride. We want him to be the ride. So I'm still like, if anything, I'd love to see a couple of weeks here where Treveyon, I think his streak, the schedule is outrageous. I think it's like in a good way. I think he's got some really weak opponents coming up. So that's not good for your buy-in window. It's really makes it tougher. It's good for your selling window if you want to sell extremely high, but I'm buying Treveyon, and the next couple of weeks is going to be really hard to do that because I think he continues to blow up.
Giants, Bills, Ravens, Jets. So
that's a lot of fancy points on the way for Treveyon.
Yeah. So, what we've seen over he's in this discussion because in the last, 6 weeks, he's made his way into the top 12 of scoring. He's averaging 5.32 yards per carry. And we've seen from the beginning of those 6 weeks and then 3 weeks in. So like the last 3 weeks, we went from an 8% target share to a 10% target share. Mm-hmm. And what we really want to see, or at least what would really comfort me, is to be seeing Treveyon consistently in a 12 to 15% target share. That's when we're starting to get there's obviously every year there's those guys who are in the 20s, CMC and Alvin Kamara typically, and Achan's up there right now, and those guys are crazy. That's just like an insane amount of target share. But if we could just get Treveyon into that 12 to 15% annually, you feel really good about that, and he'll get carries. I don't think he'll get 12 plus carries a game ish. So I feel pretty good about it because that's how I presumed Treveyon should and would be used. And you're seeing flashes of, the home run ability, the electricity from him. So that's all positives. He'll probably be in a timeshare, but that's also okay. He can, everybody, the Gibbs comparison isn't fair because Gibbs is one of one, but just the way that the Lions were using him with Ben Johnson would be fine for my Treveyon stock, at least for the first year or two, right? And so, I guess
the Patriots can go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask you a couple of. Go ahead.
Well, as the Patriots continue to build, like I'm saying, they're just so far ahead of schedule. So as the offensive line continues to get built out, as Drake May and Josh McDaniels continue to build it out together, right? Then and what Hunter Henry and Diggs and Mac Hollins, is that scaring anybody?
Yeah,
it's working, dude. Pop Douglas,
injuries to the offensive line, big injuries.
I know that's what I'm. Yeah, we'll just first round guy, just top 5 pick, just got hurt. But I'm just saying, if you think about what they're bringing out there, we talk about this with I think we talked about this with the Bears and the Lions and preseason stuff, like the 5 eligibles. If I'm a middle linebacker, if I'm a green dot linebacker, and I'm out there making calls, and I'm looking around, and I see Stephon Diggs, sure, stud still. Mac Hollins, Pop Douglas. I'm not trying to catch, these boys aren't trying to catch strays here tonight, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? It's dude, this offense only has way more room to grow. It's not only from a quarterback standpoint and maturity, and how often do we see the really good quarterbacks in this league say oh yeah, year 4, year 5, I'd seen all the defenses, and then now I was really, you know what I mean? The good ones, they're humble. And they're not saying how they were awesome from the get-go, that year 3, 4, 5, they really were seeing everything. There was no more surprises. They knew how to check in and out of stuff the right way, yada, yada, yada. Dude, Drake May is so good right now with C-level options and Treveyon and a overachieving old Stephon Diggs and a ridiculously good old slow tight end. Yeah. Right. It just, Hunter Henry is Mr. Reliable for that.
Not that old for tight end.
Hey guys, quick reminder. If you haven't signed up for the free Discord or the free Patreon, what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description.
He's got a lot of miles. Hunter Henry miles.
He's going to have 3 more solid years. Maybe 6.
Maybe 12. In Hunter Henry years, he's old. Yeah. My man was banged up. But as the ceiling continues to grow for this offense, like you said, I don't see why. Yes, they're going to bring in offensive starters next year. They're going to bring. Why wouldn't they? They're just too smart. Vrabel's not going to be let's run that back with Pop Douglas and Mac Hollins in the starting lineup. They're not going to do that.
They got Butte and Kyle Williams. Those guys.
Good call. Butte was the guy I was trying to think of. Kyle Williams' snap percentage is way up. Spiked last week, 80%. So that's good. But so as that continues to improve, now the defense has a little bit more to look at than just being like, hey, we need to keep Treveyon from breaking that 50-yarder that he did last week. Remember, he popped 2 of them off. Let's try to keep that from happening.
Yeah.
So just gets a little easier on Treveyon. And then, now Josh McDaniels goes back to the lab and he's like, all right, that was a good season there, boys. Made the playoffs, made a run. Who knows? Maybe they're a dark horse. And then you go back and you say, all right, well, these are the things that Treveyon did really well. And these are the things, these are a couple, they thought we were going to do it this way. We're going to do it that way. We're going to really catch them off guard.
Yeah. I hope we continue to see the target percentage go up. Like you're taking Amarion Hampton over Treveyon probably right now. Still, you're taking Bucky Irving, even though we haven't seen either one of them recently, most likely like Judkins or Treveyon, probably Judkins for me, but I think Treveyon's right there.
I think between Hampton, Judkins, Treveyon, and Bucky, like you said, it's so hard to throw Bucky out right this second because we just hadn't seen him all year long.
Yeah.
We haven't seen how nasty and filthy
he is.
Yeah, exactly. I think you're in great company right there. I think those 4 wide running backs are like just the future of the position, obviously, along with the top studs.
Yeah, and you definitely take him over Chase Brown, right? And Javonte and ETN and
for sure
Jacobs.
Yes. All those guys, like those youngsters that you just named have got to go up. I mean, I'll take Treveyon over Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, I mean, age-wise, I mean,
it's not Saquon's fault. Saquon just been in the league at 8 years already.
Yeah, and if Saquon was doing what he was doing last year, maybe we're not saying that, but it's been a little bit of a disappointment offensively for them. But either way, all right, Treveyon Henderson, no real sells per se. I saw one here that was Treveyon and a third for Amarion Hampton. I saw one for Treveyon and Quinshon straight up. I saw one with adding Tootin to Henderson to get Genty. I like that. I would do that. You're not going to have a ton of buying opportunity. Like you could see how good Genty is when you just get the ball. Things are horrible, but like I threw it to him 8 times yesterday, and it was like that's what you need to be doing right now. And
Genty's playing in the opposite situation that Treveyon is right now. Treveyon, the Patriots can't get anything wrong, and the Raiders can't get anything right.
Nothing, which was really wrong. I thought Chip Kelly on this next go around in the NFL was going to be great, and it's a bad situation, but it's not. He's certainly not helping anything out. But here was really the interesting Treveyon and a 2 or Puka, right?
Yeah,
probably taking Puka.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's move on. We got wide receivers here. I had Marks and Tracy and Gainwell marked. I want to give Gainwell a shout out. I think he deserves an opportunity to have every down role or a much stronger B role. Wherever he's going, because he's been really good the last couple of weeks, and anytime he gets a real opportunity. And then Woody Marks, real quick, buy, sell, hold on Woody Marks, just in general, just like, what are you doing?
Oh, buy this. It was last Thursday, so we forgot already, right? But he's the type of running back that I'd been chasing in years past, and I just didn't get on him. It's like I should have when you were telling me to all off season long. But a 225-pound running back that can freaking catch any pass anywhere near him, like that's the type of running back that, especially when they're cheap. Obviously,
he's like 210.
No, he's 220 pounds. Woody Marks is 220 pounds.
I don't.
But like, so. Yeah, he is. But like Amarion Hampton is a 20-pound running back that can catch and run, and he was a first-round draft pick, right?
207 at the combine.
Woody Marks?
Yeah.
I thought Woody Marks was thick.
He looks, I mean, 210 is still strong for 5'10". That's 5'10",
stronger than me.
That's all I need.
But I thought it was 220 pounds.
That changes your opinion.
Well, I mean, 220 is, that's prototype. That's prototype.
Yeah.
I'll take prototype.
It's like, here's Woody Marks in a 28 third for Chris Olave. Like, I'll take Chris Olave.
Yeah, that's a good trade up right there. That's exactly what you should be doing. I mean, I'm buying Woody Marks, but what you do is you leapfrog and you go bigger.
Yeah, right. Travis Etienne or Woody Marks? Still taking ET.
Should be ET, yeah.
Yeah, but I could see people saying, once again, later round guy, people didn't love him, so he's going to catch. There's going to be a lot of sell Woody Marks propaganda, And I can't necessarily argue with it too hard. Like the Texans could have a whole different operation from the offensive line to running back next year for sure. I don't think this is how they planned it coming into the year. And we have no idea what Joe Mixon is doing. So he's kind of interesting. If I could sell an upgrade up, like I'm not just selling for a straight 2 at this point for Woody Marks, right? Like I need a little bit more something on top of that. So, but if I could upgrade to the Olave stuff, that'd be cool. And then, I just, and then Tyrone Tracy's getting a little bit of run to, on the last 2 weeks here, probably giving you an opportunity to sell if possible, because somebody's going to be like, the snap percentage went way up between the two, for Tracy and Tracy and Gainwell's the name I'm looking in front of you. Singletary, right? I think Tracy had 80% of the snaps this week. I don't know if that's going to happen all the time. But
I think he looked so good the week before, and they were like, "Hey,
71%.
This guy's looking studly out here." And then we put in Singletary at the goal line, and he converted a couple times, so that wasn't great for Tracy. But then I think the coaches were like, hey, this dude's freaking killing it. And then Tracy looked really, really good again. So I think that was, you kind of brought him up 2 weeks ago about how cheap he had gotten and how everybody forgot about him while Scatabo was out there being Scatabo. And Tracy comes out and given an opportunity, looks really, really good with a backup quarterback.
The big thing here, basically two backup quarterbacks, really. If you really want to, get down to the nitty gritty of how the box or how it started off the season. But obviously, one guy's a first round draft pick. Well, the other guy's a first round draft pick too. All three. Well, yeah. Anyway, but yeah, Singletary was a lot closer the last couple of weeks, and then Singletary still gets 14 carries and still got 16 carries in the last week, but it's been a dominant play for Tracy. So I think there's an opportunity to get out of Tracy for somebody who's competing here, who needs, might need a little bit of help and could potentially see that, hey, I could get 12, 15 points here on a run out from Tyrone Tracy. So I think there's I'm not like dying to sell him because I think he's a good player.
What are we selling Tracy for?
I don't know. I'll pull it up on Dynasty right now, but
real quick on Woody Marks while you're pulling that up. Real quick on Woody Marks. Like if I got Woody Marks and somebody's coming at me with trying to offer me a 2, I don't know if I need too much more than that. 2 plus.
Yeah, I'm all like, I'm just gonna roll the dice.
2 and a 3, and I give you a 4. Woody Marks and a 4 gets me a 2 and a 3.
1. I'm not getting out unless I'm getting a 1.
You're not getting a first for Woody Marks.
You're getting a Chris Olave. You're adding a 3rd and getting Chris Olave. That's damn close to a 1. Like that's
a great comment, because Chris Olave, he could be tired in somebody's eyes. That first round draft pick is never tired. And like some people they just trade away their draft picks for players, and that's fine. But like a 1 is a 1. Chris Olave's tired. Somebody might be hating him, or, this guy's, we just talked about him for the run, Chase Brown. Somebody might be tired, so like that's the kind of thing, Woody Marks in a 3, give me Chase Brown like that. So I think I'm buying Woody Marks, but if somebody offers me a 2, that means they're obviously aggressively trying to get him from me. And now we're in a negotiation, and I'm trying to see, all right, well, do you have a Chris Olave, or do you have somebody that you probably hated for a while? Do you have, a Jalen Waddle on your team I could upgrade to for Woody Marks?
Yeah. I guess for me, it's like if their offense gets rolling a little better in Texas. Can
I grab a Pearsall? Can I give you Woody Marks and get Pearsall for my dynasty team?
Sure, I'll do that. I would love to do that, but like I just don't want to. Like if I'm just doing it for a 2, there's semantics and it could be mid, early, whatever. Either way, sure. I'm mostly just hanging on because at the end of the day, like it's a dart throw, and I like having 2s, and I'm never like I've made a lot of great rebounds and rebuilds with loading up on 2s because people were so focused on the 1 that, I've made a lot, if you can make some good picks in the second round, I've hit guys like, Amon-Ra St. Brown is one that really sticks out to me. That's like, a great
Rashee Rice,
great second. Yeah. Great picks in the recent future that have really helped you out there. So when I can keep a guy like Woody Marks around for like Tyrone Tracy, I would sell for the 2 because it's up in the air. And we saw how good Scatterbo could be. Like if the Texans get their offensive line a little more well built moving forward, right now you've got some experience with some of the guys on the line, so I'm sure some of those guys will be fine next year. But if you get another horse on the O line, and then maybe a free agent or something, 2 different versions, draft and pick up. And maybe you do add another guy and that maybe that really hurts Woody Marks, but still an elite pass catcher. And I mean, he's showing that he could be the guy. Like he's got, I think everything I need to see, I've seen from him to be able to be like, oh, that guy could be your guy. I don't know if he'll be forever. I don't know if he'll be elite level, but he's got quickness. He's got some good speed. He's got great hands. Like to me, I would rather just be like, all right, well, I missed the 2 and maybe it goes to 0 and I'm okay with that. But, what could be for going into next year, if everything plays out right, like he'll be worth way more than a 2 really quickly. It could go down, and I still think he'll have startability, I guess. I don't think he's just going to go to 0 and the Texans are going to be like, oh, we're done with the Woody Marks experience.
Well, exactly. There's a lot that's really, really impactful because Woody Marks is going to be a good RB2 in this league for a long time, no matter what, So, because he's already proven that he's because of things that worked out for the Texans, he probably got a lot more run than they wanted him to earlier in his career, and he's shown well. And because of what he can do with the passing downs and his skill set and the 2-minute drill and all that stuff and the hurry up, he's going to be on an NFL team for a long time. So what you just said is, if passing up on the 2 for Marks right now is actually fairly safe. He could go to anything could happen, but I don't think he's going to disappear.
Yeah,
but
the upside is crazy though next year. If the things go
well, they bring in somebody.
Higgins is showing life. Schultz is good. No, we haven't really even seen a ton from Nolt. Like this offense, all of a sudden could be holy shit. This is the Bengals. We're so excited about what's going on over here, and we want everything to do with it. And
even if they brought in somebody, the way the NFL works, even if they drafted somebody equally as good, or if they brought in a cheap free agent or Dowdle shows up, even if they bring in somebody, people get hurt all the time. So Woody Marks could get right back into the starting lineup, whether he stays there, even if he stays there or he gets it back due to injury, he could still catch that 13-game stretch where he's the RB9. He could literally win your league for you next year and be worth more than that 2 that we're talking about.
There's plenty of people who are like, hey, if you drafted him in the 4th round, you make some money, you cash out. And I'm not opposed to that mindset necessarily. I just view of course I already liked him. So that's part of it. But I think it's setting up right now to be potentially a fun lottery ticket that I'm okay with holding on to and not taking the 2. Tracy, on the other hand, I would take the 2. Like there's a 26-2 here. There's a 26-3 here. There's another 26-3 here. Like, I don't want to get out of Tracy for a 3.
No, I don't.
I'm gonna just chill. That's a good player.
Yeah.
But plenty of 2s, and at that point, like we saw Scatterbo be really good, and now there is a lottery ticket aspect to Tracy as well because we've seen him be good, and at the end of last season,
we've seen him be good.
Right,
we've seen him being good enough to say, hey, maybe he's not on a jump, maybe he's not a giant, but he's good enough to be worth more than a random 3rd-round pick. I agree.
Yeah. So, and then Gainwell, just some love for him. We saw this past week where Warren even got his run and Gainwell was still like, he's just a really good pass catching back. He's 26 years old. We saw him get a ton of run in week 4 against Minnesota, 19 carries, 5.1 on the ground there, and then this past week against Chicago, 10 for 92, and then another 6 through the air with 30. Gainwell deserves a little bit of love, and he's definitely somebody that you should keep on your radar, as I believe he is a free agent coming into next season. So that's going to do it for the running back side of things. Let's move over to the wide receiver side real quick.